الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبوحا قدوس رب الملائكة والروح. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. إلهي والحقني بنور عزك الأبهج فأكون لك عارفا وعن سواك منحرفا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله كما هو أهله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا من أرجله بكل خير وآمنه تخطه إلا كل شيء. يا من يؤتى الكثير بالقليل. يا من يؤتي من سأله. يا من يؤتي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرفه. تهلنا منه ورحمة. آتني بمسألتي إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة. واصرف عني بمسألتي إياك جميع شر الدنيا وشر الآخرة. فإنه شر من توصي ما أعطيت وزدني من فضلك يا كريم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا ذا النعماء والجود يا ذا المن والطول. حرم شيبتي إلى النار.
إلى أبوات الحاضرين وشيعة أمير المؤمنين رحم الله من يقرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء وبعيد المدى السلطان بن الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة وعلى أبنائك الأربعة وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي يا صاحب العصر والأمر والزمان، سيدي الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. اللهم أرنا الطلعة الرشيدة وغرة الحميدة واكحل ناظري بنظرة مني إليه وعجل فرج وسهل مخرجا وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين تحت لوائه. السلام عليك يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك حجة ابن الحسن
Are you ready? We'll wait a second. People are leaving. I'll get everybody to be quiet. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We'll continue the program with Surah Yasin, so if you could please maintain silence. Ladies. Let me go slap him. Gents too, please. Salu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين المستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموت ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب قرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا بلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أن حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك مشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة يوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان قد أضل منكم جبل كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون أصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إن نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Surah Yasin was recited for the Isalat Thawab of Marhuma Sayyida Shama Zahra Naqvi, daughter of Sayyid Qalbi Abbas Naqvi, wife of Sayyid Zahir Abbas Naqvi, and mother of Sayyid Muhammad Safir and Sayyid Ali Kumil Naqvi, and mother-in-law of Bakiza Batul Naqvi, the niece of Sayyid Javed Abbas Naqvi. Please recite a Surah Fatiha.
اللهم صل محمد وآل یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ جو عرض کربلا ہے ہر عرض سے سوا ہے، اس خاک کربلا میں شہ کا لہو ملا ہے، شہ کا لہو ملا ہے۔ ہر لا دوا مرض کی یہ خاک ہی دوا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ میں بھی تو ماتمی ہوں، ذاکر ہوں سیدہ کا، نوحہ پڑھا ہے میں نے ہم شکل مصطفیٰ کا، ہم شکل مصطفیٰ کا۔ اس ذاکری کے میری قسمت میں یہ صلہ ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب نماز شب میں بس یہ دعا کروں میں، کچھ دیر اس زمیں پر مجلس بپا کروں میں، مجلس بپا کروں میں۔ ہر ماتمی کے لب پر ہر دم یہی دعا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ مظلومیت پہ جس کی روتا ہے یہ زمانہ، اس بے قطع کے در پر ایک بار تو ہے جانا، ایک بار تو ہے جانا۔ وہ قرض ہے لہو پر وہ اس طرح عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ وہ سرزمین جہان پر گونجی اذان اکبر، تسبیح آنسوؤں کی پرنی ہے اس زمیں پر، پرنی ہے اس زمیں پر، ایک سجدہ یہ عقیدت اس خاک پر عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو، یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو، قربان ہو گیا جو کلثوم کی دعا پر، روزہ میں اس کا دیکھو جو مر گیا وفا ہے، جو مر گیا وفا پر، گر یہ شرف بھی میری تقدیر میں لکھا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو، یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو، یا رب حق زہرا توفیق یہ عطا ہو، مرنے سے پہلے یا رب دیدار کربلا ہو۔ صلوات۔
Brothers and sisters, let's welcome Shaykh Nabil with 3 lines.
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida. Please recite your loudest salawat. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives our sins. Ya Allah, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Ya Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Ya Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Ya Allah, destroy the enemies of Tashayyu in whichever form they may come. Ya Allah, give safety, sanctuary and victory to the people of Lebanon, to the people of Gaza and to the people of Parachinar. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true muntadreen, his true awaiters. Also, this majlis has been held as an Isali Thawab for Marhuma Sayyida Shamma Zahran Naqwi. Please honor her soul and the souls of your own marhumin with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatiha, but before that, the loudest of your salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. We have gathered in order to commemorate two great personalities. The blessed personality of Imam al-Kadhim salawatullah wa salamuhu alayh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And the blessed personality of Hazrat Abu Talib alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And when it comes to trying to gather both of these personalities into a single lecture, it's very difficult. As both of them, there is so much to speak about. And so I wrote a lecture and then I looked at it and I was like, this is going to take 2 hours to get through. So then I cut it off. I know, like anything over 40, 45 minutes, people start struggling. But don't worry, it won't go that long. So I cut it down to where it is, maybe I can pay some sort of lip service to both of these personalities. Hazrat Abu Talib is that individual that history has been unkind, especially the history of the Muslims in regards to him. Through the bughz of Amir al-Mu'mineen, through the hatred of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when they could find nothing wrong and nowhere where they could poke holes in the personality of Ali alayhi salam, they went after Hazrat Abu Talib, began to accuse him of being a mushrik, an individual whose greatness cannot be understood, cannot be comprehended, that we have it in our narrations that he, salamullah alayhi, was the last of the wasi of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He himself, according to our narrations, was one of the prophets of a lower rank that continued that system of prophethood until the risalat of the Holy Prophet. He held the secrets and the relics of the Anbiya prior, and he placed the amanat of the Anbiya at the disposal of Rasulullah. We haven't taken hold of the opportunity to understand who this individual is, or to show the world and highlight his greatness. And so the enemy stepped in and they begin to fill the void by accusing him of shirk, accusing him of kufr, al-ayadhu billah. When you look at what the scholars have done, what they have collated, you will see that there is no shortage of evidence towards the iman of Abu Talib alayhi salam. In fact, in Al-Ghadir, Ayatollah Amini, in one of the chapters of Al-Ghadir, he dedicates 130 pages to the Iman of Abu Talib alayhi salam, where he brings in the various diwan, what is known as the poetry collection of Abu Talib alayhi salam, in regards to Tawheed, in regards to the Holy Prophet. And it becomes clear that this individual is someone that through the enmity of Amir al-Mu'mineen, people have begun to attach labels to him. The sixth Imam, he says that the example of Abu Talib is the example of Ashab al-Kahf. Say, why do you say that his example is like that of the Ashab al-Kahf? The sixth Imam says, because just like the Ashab al-Kahf had hidden their Iman, Abu Talib alayhi salam had also hidden his Iman for the sake of the sanctuary and the safety of the Holy Prophet. And imagine how Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam feels. And this is something that crops up within narrations. One day they say that Amir al-Mu'mineen is sitting in Kufa and the people are around him, وَالنَّاسْ حَوْلَهُ, they're sitting around him and he's speaking to them. فَقَامَ إِلَيْهِ رَجُلٌ, a man stood up from amongst them. فقال له يا أمير المؤمنين إنك بالمكان الذي أنزلك الله وأبوك معذب في النار. Says, يا أمير المؤمنين, you are at this great status that has been given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but your father, al-'ayadhu billah, is burning in hell, is being given adhab in hell. How is this possible? Amir al-Mu'mineen replies, فَقَالَ لَهُ, and Ali alayhi salam, he says to him, مَا فَضَاللَّهُ فَاكَ وَالَّذِي بَعَثَ مُحَمَّدٍ بِالْحَقِّ نبيا لو شفع أبي في كل مذنب على وجه الأرض لشفعه الله. Says, no, don't say these words. By Allah, if my father Abu Talib wished to do the shafa'ah for every single person on the face of this earth, Allah would accept the shafa'ah of Abu Talib alayhi salam for every single person upon this earth. And then he says, أَأَبِي مُعَذِّبٌ فِي النَّارِ وَإِبْنُهُ قَسِيمُ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. Says, is it possible that my father be in the fires of hell while his son is the one that distributes heaven and hell? Says, is it possible? وَالَّذِي بَعْثَ مُحَمَّدٍ بِالْحَقِّ إن نور أبي طالب يوم القيامة ليطفأ أنوار الخلائق إلا بخمسة أنوار. Says, by Allah, by the Lord that made Muhammad a prophet, I swear that the light of Abu Talib on the day of judgment will be brighter than all other lights except for 5. Those 5 lights, he says, Nur Muhammad, wa Nur Fatima, wa Nur al-Hassan, wa Nur al-Hussein, wa Nur waldihi min al-A'imma, and the Nur of those from his lineage, the Imams alayhimus salam. He says, Allah, inna nuruhu min nurina, says that the Nur of Abu Talib is from our Nur, and our Nur, خلقه الله من قبل خلق آدم بألفي عام. And our Nur, along with the Nur of Abu Talib, was created before the creation of Adam by 1,000 years. Says, how are you saying that my father is being punished? How can one understand, comprehend? The enemies aside, I have not given the importance to Abu Talib alayhi salam. How many times have I read the Diwan of Abu Talib? Did I even know that there existed a book by the name of Diwan Abu Talib, where the Iman of Abu Talib is becoming zahir within it? How have I been able to defend Abu Talib alayhi salam? What do I know of him? What do I know of his lineage? Not only is he madhloom at the hands of the enemies, but at times at our hands. Second personality we're looking at is Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. When I combined both of these personalities and I looked at both of their lives, and I thought, What lesson can I take that is common between these two individuals, that is relatable to each and every one of us here? And the lesson that came out was this: finding opportunities in difficult situations. When presented with opportunities in the middle of difficulties, an individual runs towards them to preserve the divine duty. Both of these individuals, في قحر السجون, when it comes to Imam al-Kadhim, in the deepest of prisons, still, Allahumma inni as'aluka rahata inda al-maut wal maghfirata ba'da al-maut. عظم ذنبه من عبدك فليحسن التجاوز من عندك. In the depth of prison, munajat with his Lord, my Lord, I asked you for solitude, and you gave me prison. So praise be upon you, and thanks be to you for bestowing me with this solitude. In the depth of difficulty, to be able to find the divine purpose, to fulfill the divine duty, to never back down. When things are going easy, it's very easy to follow the religion. It's very easy. One will pray, one will do whatever they want. But the moment you're tested with some bump in the road, then everything is questioned. Then slowly but surely I leave praying, I leave doing this, I leave doing that. I used to do this, I used to do that. But what I used to do is of no use to me now. It's what I do now that matters. And this is what Sayyid al-Shuhada refers to as well. Says, الناس عبيد الدنيا ودين لعيق على ألسنتهم. Says, mankind is a slave of the dunya, and the religion is but a taste on their tongue. When it suits them, they keep it. But when it's not to their taste, فَإِذَا مُحِسُّ بِالْبَلَاءِ, when we test them, when they are tested with difficulties, قَلَّ دَيَّانُونَ, then very few of them are religious. In the depth of trial, if one can maintain their duty towards Allah, can find opportunity in the depth of trials, because opportunities are always there. وَالْفُرَصَةُ تَمَرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. Amir al-Mu'mineen says opportunities are like clouds. Grab hold of them before they pass you by, because once they're gone, they're not coming back. But we become so self-absorbed in the moments of trials, we do not realize that actually the opportunity that is available in trial is not available to us at any other point. The opportunity that you have to ascend in difficulties, in those moments of your life where you think, why is God doing this to me? If at that moment you can focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be raised through that trial. The opportunity that you have in difficulty, you do not have in ease. And that relates not just to spiritual growth, but to physical growth, mental growth. Whenever you want to exceed, whenever you want to go forward and succeed in life and go further than anyone else, you have to put yourself under strain. When I'm going to the gym, the only reason my muscles will grow is if I put my body under strain. In difficulty is the greatest opportunity. The opportunity that I have to grow myself under the weight of physical weight, I don't have it by just walking around. The same way in spiritual growth, the opportunity that I have in the face of trials, in the face of difficulties, in those moments where I think, you know what, I'm too tired, I've done too much, I've got too much on my plate. If at that time I can turn towards Allah, qurbatan ilallah, Allah Himself will grab hold of me and raise me up. Allah will then make every trial easy. Allah will smooth every bump in the road. And in fact, I will begin to relish trials and understand that actually the trial that I have been given is not really a trial. Al-bala'u lil-wala. Bala, difficulty, are for the awliya of Allah. And so when the Imams, you find them thanking Allah for the trials. When you find Imam al-Hussein on the day of Ashura with every shaheed that is gone in the way of Allah, his face becoming brighter. This is a living example of al-bala'u lil-wala, that difficulties are for the awliya of Allah. When you view a difficulty, at this level I view it as the most inconvenient thing that Allah could have done to me. But as I progress spiritually, now I don't look at difficulties as difficulties. I look at them as blessings, because it's an opportunity for me to grow. Imam al-Kadhim's life, if you look at it, 35 years is the period of the imamate of Imam al-Kadhim. It is longer than any of the other imams, bar the imam of our time. From amongst all of the Imams, Imam al-Kadhim has the longest period of imamate, 35 years. But in this 35-year period, he lived through the lives of 4 of the most wretched khulafa of Bani al-Abbas. You have Mansur al-Dawaniqi, Mahdi, Hadi, and in the end, the most mal'oon of them all, Harun al-Rashid, la'natullah alayh. And inevitably, Harun is that individual that he was the worst of all of them. 14 years of that 35-year period of the Imam is spent in prison. Not in one long stretch, but he'd be released for a short while, then pulled back into prison, then released. 14 years. The last 4 years were consistent. That the Imam was kept in a prison that was in such a state. Those of you that have been to Baghdad will have seen it. You're in the Ziyarat-Nama of the Imam, we say, fi qahr al-sujun. You were in the depth, the dark depth, 40 meters down, the Imam was kept, where he would not know whether it was day or night, where all sense of time had gone. He couldn't stand straight. He was constantly crouched down because the height of the place was so short that the Imam was constantly, for 4 years, imagine the Imam would come. There was a small area where the Imam could stand, but whenever he would stand, his face would hit the grill. The moment they would see the Imam trying to take breath, they would come and they would kick the Imam, push him further down again, forcing him down. Trials that the Imam alayhi salam went through. It's extremely difficult. It was even difficult for the Shias. They weren't allowed to say the name of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. In fact, they would refer to him as Sabir. The patient one has said this. Or Alim, the Alim has said this. Or Abdul Salih, the righteous servant has said this. They couldn't even say his name. That's how difficult those times were. But Imam al-Kadhim in those times, he flourished. Abu Talib alayhi salam, if you look at it, trials he's been boycotted by the Quraysh socially, economically. He's kicked out of his homeland. He moves to Sha'bi Abu Talib. For what? They said to him, Abu Talib, leave your nephew, come back, everything's still open for you. But in the depth of trial is the ascension of the individual. And so he remained steadfast. Remaining steadfast is extremely important. Don't let this deen be something that you buy and sell. When it suits you, you keep it. When it doesn't suit you, you get rid of it. Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman, he comes to Imam al-Kadhim. Imam says to him, Yunus, do this dua often. You know, sometimes we recite this dua once a week. Recite this dua once a month. Recite this dua Laylatul Qadr or 15th of Sha'ban. We have sporadically these du'as. If I could ask everyone to come forward so that the brothers that are coming from the back have more ease to sit down. Santo, please recite salawat. Come forward. So Imam says to him, Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman, recite this dua regularly. What is it? Allahumma la taj'alni min al-mu'areen 2 lines, this dua. It says, recite this often, over and over. Allahumma la taj'alni minal mu'arin. Oh Allah, don't make my religion something that is easily bought and sold, something that is on loan to me. Eventually I'll give it up when someone comes to take it. Eventually someone says, no, you can't work here with hijab, I'll take it off, I'll get rid of it. Sometimes you don't even need that. Sometimes I don't even need external pressure from society. I just take it off because I feel like it. Who cares what God thinks? It says, Allahumma la taj'alni fil mu'adin. Allah, don't place me amongst those people who buy and sell their faith, whose deen for them is but on loan, is borrowed. They don't own it. They just buy it, they sell it, they sell themselves at whatever cost. It doesn't matter. Then, وَلَا تُخْرِجْنِي مِنَ التَّقْصِيرِ, and never allow me to come out of taqsir. Yunus ibn Abdul Rahman says, Imam, I understand the first line. Don't let my deen be something I'll buy and sell, something I can get rid of easily. But this second part of taqsir, the Imam says to him that when you've achieved something in Iman, then don't look down on others because you think that you've done so much in your life. Just because you can recite, just because you can recite Salatul Layl, just because you fast, just because you have achieved some more knowledge, don't look down on others. Don't destroy what you have gained by looking down on others. On the spiritual journey, the asatid, the teachers, they say that as you begin to progress up this spiritual ladder, be sure not to kick the one below you. Rather lift them and raise them and bring them with you on this journey. Know that people are at different levels. But that's not to say you don't do amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar. You know, sometimes we're like, no, everybody's on their journey. You can't say this to anyone. It's their choice. Yeah, it's their choice to join the religion. But it's my choice to tell you of what the rules are of the religion. Or it's my right. It's everyone's right. The religion says this is haram. Like, this is halal, this is haram. Like it or lump it. I don't care whether you're here in Canada, or whether you're in England, or whether you're in Pakistan. This is the religion. Don't want to follow it? Okay, choose another one. Says, Ya Allah, do not make my religion one that I buy and sell, that I just pay lip service to. But at the same time, with that iman, do not let me be someone who has become arrogant with that faith. And so in the face of trials, if one can keep reminding themselves of this, they will excel. Don't let me be one that buys and sells my religion. Imam al-Kadhim's time was extremely difficult. As I've said, there are 4 major problems that the Imam faced, 4 major issues that the Imam faced during his time. The first was a moral degradation and an economic misappropriation by the government of the time. The moral degradation came from the top. Harun, in his court, housed 300 dancers that would dance for him. 50,000 dinar was spent on singers for all his events. And the gatherings of alcohol were commonplace in the court, in the palace of Harun. In fact, when Harun was getting married, 55 million dirham, that's 55 million silver coins, was spent on the wedding of Harun al-Rashid to his wife Zubaydah. And Zubaydah's clothing was made purely of gold. She was gifted a Quran that was written all in gold. In fact, she went and she gave, at one point, sold that Quran and created a well in Mecca for the Hujjaj that come. And it's still known there as the well of Zubaydah. So she had a well dug with that. Every single day in his court, 30 different types of dishes were cooked for him and his wives. 30 different types. He would come and he would choose from them, I'll only eat this one, I'll eat this one. Moral degradation, financial misappropriation, taking all of this finance for himself. And at the same time, the second problem the Imam faced, poverty in the masses. The general public were poor, they were starving. This is why Imam al-Sadiq, Imam al-Kadhim, towards the end of the life of Imam al-Sadiq and also towards the start of the Imamate of Imam al-Kadhim, they would go out in the middle of the night to the areas of the Muslims and give people bread. It wasn't about, oh, how am I going to pay my rent next month? Or what am I going to... No, it was about, what am I going to eat? I can't afford to eat. So the Aimma alayhimus salam would go and they would give this bread to the people. In fact, even in the house of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, when the Imam was imprisoned, there was extreme difficulty in the house of Imam al-Kadhim. Amongst the daughters of Imam al-Kadhim, there was only one chadar that they had. And they would take it in turns to pray. Because there was only one. They didn't have money to buy another one. The house of Imam al-Kadhim was suffering from this financial difficulty as well. It was everywhere. But the barakah of the wujood of the Imam is such that wherever the Imam went, he aided people. Someone comes to visit the Imam, he says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, the governor of Ray at that time, you know, a lot of that area had become Shia. Ray, Qom, Baluch, Sistan, Bayhaq, all of these areas had strong Shia populations. The governor of Ray was a follower of Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. This man comes to Imam al-Kadhim and says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, the governor of Ray has imposed upon me a tax that I cannot pay. I can't afford to pay it. Please help me. So the Imam alayhi salam writes a letter. He says to the governor of Ray, he says, you should know that there is a shade under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is reserved for an individual who does three things, or for an individual that does one of these three. What is that? The Imam says, the first, the one who does a good act for someone, does a good action for someone. Second, the one who removes the sorrow from the heart of another mu'min. Person's upset, he removes that sorrow from his heart. The third, he makes the heart of a believer happy. Three things are almost saying exactly the same thing. But the Imam says these three things, whoever has them, there is a special shade for them on Yawm al-Qiyamah under the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Imam ends the letter with, وَهَذَا أَخُوكَ وَالسَّلَامُ. And this is your brother, wassalam. That's the letter of the Imam. It doesn't say help him, doesn't say anything. This man, he takes the letter to the governor of Ray. He reads the writing of the Imam, he kisses it, says, my Imam said this. He reads it, he understands what the Imam is saying. Sometimes, even if you slap someone in the face with what you're trying to say to them, they just don't get it. You know, nobody will change unless they want to change themselves. The Prophet can come, you know all the people that say, I'll wait till I go to Hajj and I'll do this. Or when the Imam comes, I'll start praying. Or the Imam comes, I'll definitely observe hijab when the Imam comes. You won't. Guaranteed you won't. If you can't do it now, you're not going to do it then. You won't. There's no, impossible. Until and unless you want to do it, the hujjah of Allah can stand in front of you. You're not going to change. It's impossible. Until you have the grit and the wherewithal and the strength within yourself to change, no one can change you. Even the Prophet of God came. He stood amongst the people. He showed them the signs. But when they chose to reject him, they rejected him. It matters not if you don't have the strength of character now, you will never have the strength of character when the hujjah of Allah reappears. But this man had the strength of character. He saw what the Imam was trying to say. So straight away, he forgives the man's taxes, and on top of that, he gives him something. He gives him some money to help him.
برائے خوشنودی امام موسیٰ کاظم علیہ السلام بلندتر سلامات
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The Hujjah of Allah is aware. The Hujjah of Allah knows of your trials, your difficulties. Bakar is one of the Shi'as of Qum, a wealthy businessman who, in narrations, it says that 40 times he had gone to Hajj. On the 40th time that he went in Muzdalifah, someone stole his money. Had nothing, destitute, everything was stolen from him. He's looking around and says, what do I do? How can I? Some way, somehow, with great difficulty, he reaches Medina. Now, what was customary for him for the previous 39 times was every time he completed his Hajj, he would go and he would either visit Imam al-Sadiq or then now Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. But he says to himself, no, this time if I go to the Imam, I'm going with the niyat of wanting something. It won't be ziyarah. It won't be the ziyarah of the Imam, true visitation. How many of us have gone on ziyarah and not ever asked for something? How many times have we gone to Karbala? How many times have we gone to Mashhad? How many times have we gone to Baghdad? Have we gone to Samarra and said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I'm here, I don't want anything. I'm just here for your ziyarah. Or is it that I go with a list as long as my arm, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, solve this problem, this person's ill, that person's dying, this person's ill, my kid is like this. What do I do? Says, I didn't want to go to the Imam with a need. Because every time I come, the Imam, I just go to visit the Imam specific. If everyone could just move forward, it'll save Mujib from going to each of you individually. Center. Wow. It's nice, he's requesting everyone individually, but it takes too long. So, says, I don't want to go to the Imam with the desire for something. So instead he goes to Medina, to where the laborers are gathered, the laborers market. And there people would stand and then people would come and bid. I've got this job, I need this done, who can do it? So as he's standing there, the representative of Imam al-Kadhim comes. Says there's some work we need done, who wants to do it? Now Bakar, he recognized the rep of the Imam, but the Imam's representative doesn't know who this person is. So he raises his hand and says, I will go and work. So he says, okay, he takes him to some land which Imam al-Kadhim owned and it had to be worked on. So this man, he works on this land for a few days, enough to make money to return back to Qom. On his last day, Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, he happens to visit the land and he sees him and says, Bakar, because you're here. He says, yes, Ya ibn Rasulullah. He tells him the whole story. Imam says, why didn't you come to us? He says, no, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I didn't want to come and visit you when I wanted something. I just wanted to do your ziyarah just for your ziyarah. The Imam says, be that as it may, come to my house, I have some work with you. He brings him home and the Imam gives him 15 dinar. He says, no, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I don't need it. I've earned enough money to get me back to Qom. Imam says, no, take this and also take this letter to Ali ibn Hamza al-Bata'ini in Kufa. So he takes the letter, he goes to Kufa. He delivers the letter to Ali ibn Hamza al-Bata'ini. Ali ibn Hamza al-Bata'ini, he looks at it, he says, the Imam has told me to give you 40 dinar. Says, no, but I didn't ask the Imam for anything. I don't need it. Says, whatever the maslahah is, whatever the secret behind this is, I don't know. The Imam has asked to give you 40 dinar, so here's the 40 dinar. So he gives him 40 dinar. From there, Bakar, he returns back to Qom. When he reaches Qom, the people of Qom come to him and say, oh, you've been away for so long, you never guess what happened. So what happened? Says someone robbed your shop while you were away. Someone burgled your shop and everything's been stolen. So he goes in, he looks at his shop and he begins to calculate everything that was stolen and the value of it. When he calculates it, he reaches the end, 40 dinar. Exactly what Imam al-Kadhim had given him through Ali ibn Hamza al-Bata'ini. The Imam, the Hujjah of Allah, is aware of your plight, of your difficulties.
बराए खुशनूदिये बाबुल हवाइज अलैहिस्सलाम बुलंद तर सलावत
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So the second thing was poverty at the time of Imam al-Kadhim. The third problem the Imam faced, and arguably I have not found in history any other Imam that faced this level of deviation. The third problem that the Imam faced was deviations. Upon the death of the sixth Imam, at least 6 groups emerged. In addition to the Sufi movement, in addition to the Darwish and all of these deviancies that had already occurred, 6 main groups came out. The first group said, oh, Imam al-Sadiq's just gone into ghaibah. He hasn't died. He's gone into ghaibah. The second group is the Ismailiyya group. They said Ismail, the brother, the son of Imam al-Sadiq who had died earlier, a few years earlier, he has gone into ghaibah and he is actually the Imam. And the Imam actually did a number of odd things on the Zahir to the people, odd. At the funeral of Ismail, 3 times, you know where we placed the body down 3 times? Imam alayhi salam placed the body down 3 times. And he pulled away the cover over the face of Ismail. And he looked at the people and said, is Ismail dead? They said, yes. People thought the Imam was doing it out of grief, that he couldn't believe his son had died. But no, he was confirming something. Then make sure you know Ismail has died. I'm telling you Ismail has died. Nonetheless, upon the death of Imam al-Sadiq, a group emerged that said Ismail has gone into ghaibah and he is the Hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Ismailiyya group. The third group were known as the Fatahiyya. The Imam al-Kadhim's brother, Abdullah Aftah, they said he is the Imam. He is the Hujjah of Allah. And so the Fatahiyya group began to follow Abdullah Aftah. The fourth was a group of the followers of Muhammad Dibaj. They said he is the next Imam, Muhammad Dibaj. The fifth group was a group that said that Muhammad ibn Ismail, so the son of Ismail that had died, the son of Imam al-Sadiq, his son Muhammad is the Imam. And so they began following him. And then was left Imam al-Kadhim. A group of people said, no, Imam al-Kadhim is the Hujjah of Allah. 6 groups splintered off upon the death of Imam al-Sadiq. No other Imam previous or no other Imam afterwards had this level of splintering that had happened. But Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, he had to deal with all of this. And then after the death of Imam al-Kadhim, you have the Waqifiyya movement. The Waqifiyya, they said, no, Imam al-Kadhim was the Hujjah of Allah. He's the final Hujjah. He will return. At this point, Imamat is ended when he returns. So they they stopped there. The Waqifiyya movement. But Imam al-Kadhim had to deal with all of this during his time, along with the Sufis and the Darwish and the various deviations that were occurring on that front. Many people were confused. That where is it that we should go? Who is it that we should follow? Arguably 2 or 3 of these were right. The sisters that are talking, I held off this time quite a while. I think I was patient for 35 minutes, but clearly the hint wasn't got. So if the other sisters who are quiet could tell the talking sisters to be quiet, that would be greatly appreciated. Please recite salawat. I did well, 35 minutes at least. So it's a record for me. So people were confused. They didn't know who is the Imam, where to go, which is the path. A man by the name of Ahmed, he also has this same issue. उर्दू में बोलना पड़ेगा क्या या इंग्लिश में ही समझ आ जाएगी? Please, ladies, again, the children are children. That's fine. If the ladies themselves could please be quiet, that's in your control. Santum. So Ahmed, he says that I was confused. I didn't know who to go to. Which Imam? Which of these is the Imam? He says I was asleep and I had shak in my mind as to Imam Sadiq had died. Who is the Imam after? Says, as I was in my state of sleeping, awaking, I came to the conclusion, is it Abdullah Aftah or Imam al-Kadhim? It's got to be one of these two, but I'm not sure which one. Says, as I slept and I fell into sleep, around the time of Fajr, I heard someone call me and say, Ahmed, wake up. It's not for our Shias to be sleeping at the time of Fajr. She says, I opened my eyes and I saw Imam al-Kadhim was standing in front of my bed. I said salam to him, and the Imam said, Ahmed, it's not good for our Shias to be sleeping at this time. Wake up, pray. She says, I stood up, confused. I went, I did wudu. I came and I stood on the musalla and I began to pray. Now, she says, I finished my prayer. And the Imam says, come with me. He says, where? Imam says, he held on to my hand, Imam al-Kadhim, and he stamped his foot. Says, all of a sudden I found myself in front of a dome. I looked at the Imam, I said, where is this? He says, this is the grave of my grandfather, Abu Abdullah. We are in Karbala. Says, go in, do the ziyarah of my grandfather and come back. So he says, I went in, I did the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Then says, I came out. Again, Imam al-Kadhim grabbed my hand. He stamped his foot. He says, I found myself in front of another dome. Imam al-Kadhim says, this is Najaf. Go do the ziyarah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Says, I went and I did the ziyarah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Says, again, he held my hand. He stamped his foot. We found ourselves in Masjid Kufa. Then he held my hand again, stamped his foot. We found ourselves in Medina, next to the grave of the Prophet. Says, we went to many places. The Imam took me on ziyarah one by one. Says, eventually the Imam turned back to me. Said, would you like to return back to your home? He said, yes, Yabna Rasulillah. Says, the Imam stamped his foot. I found myself standing again with the Imam in my home. Then the Imam looks at me. He says, Ya Ahmed, أتحب أن أريك دلالات الإمامة? Says, oh Ahmed, would you like to see any more evidences towards our imamat? He says, no, Yabna Rasulillah. Now I realize. Says, the Imam knew of my shak. He knew of my suspicion. And he came to remove it. Says, no, Muhammad wa Muhammad. So the third problem that Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam faced was deviation. The fourth problem was the oppression of the Alawi Sadat. And this is both Alawi and Fatimi Sadat, Hassani and Husseini Sadat, especially towards the Hassani Sadat. There was a great amount of oppression that was done by Bani al-Abbas. In fact, it was put down as law that the testimony of an Alawi Sayyid, of a Sayyid, will not be taken into account. The guarantorship of the Alawi, Hassani, Husseini Sadat will not be accepted. They were captured and buried alive in the walls of the palaces. In fact, Mansur al-Dawanaki la'natullah alayh had created a museum under his palace, a museum of the skulls of the Hassani Sadat, whereby he took the heads, severed their heads, and kept their skulls, and then underneath them would have a plaque. This is, for example, the head of Hassan ibn Hassan or the head of Hassan Muthanna. He would have it. It was such a scary place that when Mansur died and his son Mehdi came into power, when he went down there, he destroyed it. Because it was such a place that invoked so much fear. There was great oppression upon the Sadat. In fact, Hussein ibn Ali, Shaheed Fakh, this is someone who rose against Bani al-Abbas with 72 of his followers in Mecca. He was from the Sadat. He was killed and his head was severed from his body, and his severed head was put on a spear and was paraded through the city in front of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, about this incident, he says there is no more harrowing an event after the event of Karbala for us Ali Muhammad than the shahadat of Hussein ibn Ali Shaheed Fakh. That we had to witness this all over again. So this level of oppression was happening with the Sadat, that Bani al-Abbas were hell-bent on destroying the line of the Sayyids. Bani al-Abbas are those who created all of the lies about Imam al-Hassan. All of the lies that currently our brothers of the Ahl Sunnah have about Imam al-Hassan, al-Iyadhu billah, that he would marry in the morning and divorce at night, and he had 40-something wives. All of this is fabrications from the time of Bani al-Abbas. Why? Because the Hassani Sadat were the most populous of the Sayyids, and they were the most strongest of the Sadat. And so they looked to discredit them by trying to discredit Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, saying these people don't know their lineage. Imam al-Hassan had this many wives, he used to get married in the morning, divorced in the evening, who knows whose son is who? And so this is how they went around and they began to attack. So Imam al-Kadhim had to face this, the oppression of the Sadat, which includes Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam himself. He lived for 55 years. 35 years of that is his imamat, and 14 years of that life is in prison. Sometimes in Basra, sometimes in Kufa, sometimes in Baghdad. The last 4 years of the Imam was spent in the prisons of Baghdad. They tried many a times to break the Imam physically, but then they would try psychologically to torture the Imam. So many times they tried. At one point, they brought a woman of ill repute and they put her inside the cell of the Imam. A singer, a dancer. They said, go, sing and dance for this man. Try and bring him away. She entered into the cell and she saw a man in sajda. She says, as I approached, I listened. What is it that he's saying? His munajat with his Lord. Allahumma inni as'aluka rahata inda al-mawt. Imam al-Kadhim is asking for his death. Says, Allahumma inni as'aluka rahata inda al-mawt. Allah, make this death easy for me. She hears it. She runs back towards the door. They tell her, go back in. She herself falls into sajda. When they come to check, they find her in the state of sajda. She says to them, let me out. Let me go and speak to the Khalifa. Says, what are you going to say to him? She says, I'm going to say to him, this is the man that you have kept, a man who all day is in the worship of Allah. What is the crime of such a man? Jailers upon jailers were changed. Every time they would bring a jailer, they would say that what do we do? They said, oppress him as much as you can. In the end, they would give up. They would say that how can we oppress a man who by the day is always fasting and by the night is always praying? They couldn't bring themselves until in the end they found the most oppressive jailer they could find, Sindi ibn Sharik Mal'oon. Imam al-Kadhim was transferred to the prison of Sindi ibn Sharik, and this is that prison where in the Ziyarat Nama you say fi qahr as-sujud. The Imam was kept in that place that was 40 meters underground. He would not know whether it was day or night. There was no place for him to stand straight. The Imam was constantly in the state of ruku'. This is where the Imam was kept. Eventually when they saw that the Imam could not be broken, Sindi ibn Sharik feeds the poison to the Imam. And now he brings the Imam out of prison. He unties the chains of the Imam. They bring him to a nearby home. They lay him in the bed and they call some of the Shias. They say, come and look at your Imam. He's dying a natural death. Come and bear witness that he's dying a natural death. They enter into the room. They see the Imam lying there. They call out to him, Ya ibn Rasulillah, is it true that you are dying a natural death? The Imam, in and out of consciousness, he opens his eyes. He says to them, Qatlan, Qatlan, Qatla. 3 times the Imam said, they've killed me, they've killed me, they've killed me, they've poisoned me. The Shias left the prison. They began shouting and screaming that you poisoned our Imam. When they left that area, Sindi ibn Sharik comes into the room. He locks the door behind him. In his hand was a whip. He went towards Imam al-Kadhim. He began whipping the blessed body of the Imam. They throw the Imam back in prison. The Shias are told your Imam will be released on this day. They wait outside the prison for the Imam. On the 3rd day, when the door of the prison opened, 4 slaves are carrying on their backs a plank of wood. And on it, it seems like there lies a cloth. There are 2 places in the narrations where the word shabah has been used, the shadow of the former self. The first place is in regards to Fatima al-Zahra alayha salam, that the 6th Imam says, Nahilatul Jism. Zahra had become so weak that she was a shadow of her former self. All that could be seen were bones. The second place is in regards to Imam al-Kadhim. They looked, it seemed like there was just a cloth lying on a piece of wood. But when they began calling out, the Imam al-Rafadha, this is the Imam of the Rafidis. They took the body of the Imam to the bridge of Baghdad. They threw the body of Imam on the ground by the bridge of Baghdad. The Shias were not allowed to go for 3 days towards the body. When they wanted to go and lift the body of the Imam, they said the Imam, we heard the Imam was very thin, was very weak, but the body of the Imam was heavy to lift. When they pulled back the cloth, they saw the chains were still tied to the body of the Imam. As per the wasiyah of the Imam said, do not remove the chains from my body. Ya Imam al-Kadhim, the chains were not removed from your body upon your request, but I find one person in Ali Muhammad who also had the same fate, that her ropes were still left tied to her body, and that was the 4-year-old daughter of Abu Abdullah. Sakina was buried. An alim saw in his dream that she's coming. She says, oh alim, move my body. My grave is filling with water. He sends his daughters. They go to move the body of the daughter of Abu Abdullah. When the daughter daughters return, they're crying, they're wailing. They say, Father, you told us Sakina was madhluma. Father, you told us Sakina was gharib. She was alone. There was no one by her. Father, you told us they left her in the prison. But Father, you never told us that when they buried her, they did not remove the ropes from her body. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسين يا حسين.
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، قتل ہوئے بے خطا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، قتل ہوئے بے خطا موسی. 13 برس قید تھے اور تھے بیمار بھی، 13 برس قید تھے اور تھے بیمار بھی، تھی نہ دوا بے غذا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا غریب، قتل ہوئے بے خطا موسی. آپ کے 40 تھے اہل و عیال و یتیم، آپ کے 40 تھے اہل عیال و یتیم، لاش پہ کوئی نہ تھا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی کاظم غریب، قتل ہوئے بے خطا. لاش مقدس رہی جسر پہ بغداد کے، لاش پہ مقدس رہی جسر پہ بغداد کے، کوئی نہ پرسا ہوا موسی کاظم غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا موسی غریب، آئی فلک سے صدا کاظم غریب، قتل ہوئے بے خطا. ہم رہے یا نہ رہے یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع جلے سلسلہ جاری رہے، ہم رہے یا نہ رہے یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع. اپنی نسلوں کو سکھاتے رہو ماتم کا ہنر، سینہ در سینہ کرے بس یہ عزاداری سفر، جیسے حالات بھی ہو یہ عمل جاری رہے، ہم رہے یا نہ رہے یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع ہم رہے یا نہ رہے یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے جلے. تم اگر ذاکر شبیر ہو یہ یاد رہے، چاہے اس غم کے لیے سر بھی کٹے گھر بھی جلے، حرمت فرش عزا جان سے پیاری رہے، ہم رہے یا نہ رہے یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع جلے سلسلہ جاری رہے، ہم رہے یا یہ عزاداری رہے شمع سے ماں بہنوں کو ہے پیغام میرا صرف یہی، اپنے بچوں کو جلوسوں سے نہیں روکو کبھی، یہ شہادت ہے شرف، یہ شرف جاری رہے، ہم رہے یا نہ رہے، یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع جلے، سلسلہ جاری رہے، ہم رہے یا نہ رہے، یہ عزاداری رہے، شمع سے شمع جلے، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، وفاتی ان کے لیے اور یہ وفا کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو کربلا کے لیے، وفاتی ان کے لیے اور یہ وفا کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو وفاتی ان کے لیے اور یہ وفا کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو، حسین جھولا جھولا دیتے ان کو یہ کہہ کر، حسین جھولا جھولا دیتے ان کو یہ کہہ کر، یہ کام آئے گی زینب تیری رضا کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو وفاتی ان وفا کے لیے،
علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو کربلا کے لیے،
نہ جانے کس لیے حیدر نے ان کے بازو کے، نہ جان کس لیے حیدر نے ان کے بازو کے، ہزار بوسے گلے سے لگا لگا کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو وفاتی ان کے لیے اور
یہ وفا کے لیے،
علی نے
مانگا تھا غازی کو کربلا کے لیے،
جری کے پیروں کو چوما ہے روز عاشورا، جری کے پیروں کو چوما ہے روز عاشورا، یہ خوش نصیب رہی موجے القما کے لیے، علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو وفاتی ان کے لیے اور یہ وفا کے لیے،
علی نے مانگا تھا غازی کو کربلا کے لیے،
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات، اللہم صلی علی Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, before the ziyarat, just a couple of quick announcements. The first is, ladies, the volunteers will call your lines up for food. So please do not just go to the tables, wait for your line to get called. On the gents side, we will have the food served on the dastarkhans. And the second, there's been a request for dua al-shifa for Amma Yujibul. There's some sick brothers and sisters, of course, in the community. And one of the brothers, his son, is sick and will need to go for surgery due to an infection. So can we all please recite 5 times together, Amma Yujibul. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amma
Assalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alayka ya Ba'isul Huda, Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayki Ummul Mu'mineen, Khadijatul Kubra salawatullah alayha. Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Sayyid al-Wasiyyin, Ya Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Assalamu alayki ya Qurrata ayn Rasul, Ya Fatima az-Zahra Sayyidatan Nisa'il Alameen. Assalamu alayka ya Imam Sabz Qaba, Ya Imam al-Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, Assalamu alayka ya Ibna Rasulullah, Assalamu alayka ya Ibna Amir al-Mu'mineen wa Sayyid al-Wasiyyin. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala aulad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn, khususan Sayyidi wa Mawlai Ya Abul Fazl al-Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. Assalamu alayki ya Ummul Musaib, Ya Hura Zainab bint Ali alayhi salam. Assalamu alayka ya Mawla wa ibn Mawla. Assalamu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Assalamu alayka ya Mu'in al-Zufai wal-Fuqara. Assalamu alayka ya Shams al-Shamus wa Anis al-Nafus. Ayyuha al-Madfun bi-arzatus, kun shafiyana wa shafiya walidayya fi yawm al-jaza. Assalamu alayka ya Ali ibn Musa Raza wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayka ya Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Al-Aman, Al-Aman, Al-Aman min fitnat al-Zaman wa min sharri shaitan. Assalamu alayka ya Mazhar al-Iman. Assalamu alayka ya Sharik al-Quran. Assalamu alayka ya Imam al-Insi wal-Jan. Assalamu alayka ya Imam Zamanina haza. Ajalallahu ta'ala farajak wa sahalallahu ta'ala makhrajak wa zahurak wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Bismillah kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn
al-Hassan, salawatuka alayhi wa ala abai fi hazihi sa'a wa fi kulli sa'a waliyam wa hafiza wa qaidan wa nasira wa dalilam wa aina hatta tuskinahu arzaka tawwa wa tumatti'ahu fiha tabila birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin.
Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, please recite Surah Fatiha. The majlis was sponsored today for the Isal Thawab of Marhuma Sayyida Shama Zahra Naqfi and all marhumin and marhumat. Bismillah ar-Rahman.